Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. A little early today. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes, I'll wake up a little early and I'm like, all right, let's get the show prepped. Got the show prepped. Got my tea ready to go. Put a little bit of honey in my green tea this morning. Still no coffee. And then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's just go live. So I hope everybody's doing well. Tuesday, March 25th. Are we already 3 months into 2025? What the F? 7:58 in the morning. Hope you guys are having a nice morning. We got a great show lined up today. We got a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, the Los Angeles Lakers forgot how to play basketball. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how the Lakers forgot how to play basketball. But nonetheless, thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Technically, I don't have to start till late. Right? Technically, my contract, I only get paid starting at 8. Now, granted, I would technically have to be paying myself. And, but, I might put in a complaint to the HR department that they're working me too much and that I started before my actual hours. All right, let's see what people are saying here before we even get started. I already have a quote, everything else that's there. We got to just point you guys out here real quick. Got a good chat here, man. I like the people in the chat. Sleep, pay yourself more. I'm working on it. I'm negotiating with myself. I'm losing the negotiation. Good morning, Slee. Early access Slee. For all those a-holes that keep saying, oh, Slee's always late, all that. Where's everybody now saying, hey, look, Slee's early? It's like the restaurant. What do people say? If they have a good experience at a restaurant, they tell one person. They have a bad experience, they tell 10. That's kind of what I deal with here in the chat. I'm a minute late. Everybody, oh, Slee was, what's he doing? I don't know. Maybe putting together a show. And then when I'm early, nobody says anything. Nobody says anything. All right, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being here. I got a quote for everybody today. You guys were dropping some freaking bars yesterday. There were some really, really good quotes yesterday that you guys were throwing in there, so I appreciate you guys doing that. If you got a good quote today that you think would be helpful to everybody else, throw it in the chat, and I will point it out. Quote for this morning. This one's a little deep, to be honest with you. To make others less happy is a crime. To make ourselves unhappy is where all crimes start. That's really, really good right there. To make others less happy is a crime. To make ourselves unhappy is where all crime starts. That's a great quote right there. I think we could all kind of apply ourselves to that, or we have people in our lives that, let's just say, some people bring us up, other people, they might bring us down. To make others less happy is a crime. To make ourselves unhappy is where all crimes start. That's a quote that I got for today. If you guys got a quote that you guys want to share with everybody, throw it in, and I'll get to it here. All right. Let me first start off the show with I want to give everyone a quick rundown of the show. Here's what we got going on today. We're going to try to figure out what is wrong with the Los Angeles Lakers, who have now lost 7 of their last 10 games. What the hell happened to this team? Everything was looking good. The team was cruising. We're talking about championship contention. And now they look like shit, to be honest with you. We're going to break down. I got 3 issues for me that I think highlight what's wrong with the Lakers, my biggest issues that I have with the team. We'll spend a little bit of time on. I'm going to highly encourage others. You don't have to do it right now. I would wait till I get into the actual topic, because if you start typing in right now what's wrong with the Lakers, the problem is it's going to be hard for me to go back and eventually find that comment. So you could still do it, but I'd like to see what people think, where the team's going. Maybe they are overrated. Maybe we got, too happy too quick. Maybe they already peaked. I don't have the answer for you, but I know what the problems are with the Lakers. So we're going to spend some time on that in today's show, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll go back a little bit to yesterday's loss, but really I want to focus more on what's been the difference in these 7 of 10 losses. What has been the difference that all of a sudden has this Lakers team kind of reeling a little bit rather than playing their best ball, which they still got time before the playoffs start. I'm going to throw out a scenario to Laker fans as well. What if Lakers got knocked out in the first round? I was looking at the standings right now, and it's so wild. They could still be a number 2 seed. They could be in the play-in tournament. And that's with 11 games left to go on the season, and you still have this wild range of where the team can actually be. You still have this it's just so random that you could be in a position where you got home court to the Western Conference Finals or the number 7 seed, and you're fighting for your life just to be a part of the playoffs. That's how volatile the Western Conference is right now. That's how easily you can get pushed into one side or the other side. So spend a little bit of time on that. And then also, when I say what happens if the Lakers got knocked out in the first round, I would just say this. I have such that if you ask me that question over the last month, I'd be like, you're crazy. That ain't happening. They're going to win. Whoever it is, they're going to beat in the first round. And now it's like, I have no idea what they're going to accomplish or what they're going to do. So we could kind of play a little bit of that out as well. AD returns to the Dallas Mavericks. I found that fascinating. I got the NBA League Pass. So when the Lakers game was done, I finished the post-game show. Oh, no, actually, while the Lakers game was going on, I was going back and forth a little bit just to see, okay, what does that return look like for Anthony Davis? I got a lot of respect for him for coming back, and I want to talk a little bit about Anthony Davis. Some really unfortunate news in college basketball. Juju Watkins of USC, she tears her ACL. Jason Tatum, I know, turned an ankle yesterday against the Sacramento Kings. A little bit of NBA news, NCAA news. Doc Rivers was talking about something with Game 7. I still don't understand what he was trying to say. We'll get into that as well. And then Puka Nacua of the Rams wants to retire at age 30, potentially following in the footsteps of Aaron Donald. So we'll spend some time on that as well. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here before we get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. If I could ask everybody, if you got a quick second, please subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. If you want to join and be an MVP member, please be a member as well. Those are 2 phenomenal ways to support the channel. If you like what I'm doing, the content that I'm putting out, I'm trying to roll up my sleeves every morning. And then, of course, in the evenings as well. That's the best way that you can support the channel. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments here. Have third quarter syndrome. I don't know what they're doing in that third quarter. All right, let's see. Slee is on time. That's all I was looking for. But even McKenzie wouldn't even go as far to say Slee was early. You see what I'm saying here? Not even to go as far. Slee was on time. He couldn't even say Slee was early. Why is it so difficult for you guys to give me credit when I'm a couple minutes early? All right. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. I remember we used to have in high school, we used to have basketball practice, right? And I never really understood the coach. I think the coach had some kind of quote like that. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. And in my head, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I'm not even 100% sure what that means. Maybe that's why I was sitting the pine the whole time. All right, let's get a couple quotes here. People got, if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to help build theirs. Ooh, Ruben. Damn, Ruben. Oh, that's some entrepreneurial talk right there. If you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. Here's another one here. Thank you, Ruben. That's a great one. Richard's got good, better, best. Never let it rest until the good gets better and the better gets. Why am I looking for quotes? I'm going to stop looking for quotes. Why when I got people like this on here? Richard, very, very good there. Appreciate you sharing that. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see if we got a couple more quotes and we can get the show started. I'm going to save this one. We might. Can I tell you guys something? For all I know, this might be where the conversation is turning for the Lakers, where people start saying, well, they're not supposed to do anything this year as well. By the way, that's what I thought. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, they got a squad. They could play defense, everything else. All right, let's see if we get one more here. If not, then yeah, let's get the show started. So let me first off, let's kind of just point out here real quick a little bit about yesterday. Now, if you want to start throwing in your Laker comments, you can feel free to. Let's point out a little bit of what happened yesterday, and go from there. So another loss yesterday. I thought yesterday bothered me for a couple of reasons. I'll tell you why. I actually thought not that it would be easy. Orlando's not a bad team. The problem with the Orlando Magic is they've just been injured. That's just the reality of the Orlando Magic. They just haven't been healthy. That's it. I mean, that's the best way that I can describe it. If you got a squad like Orlando who has got some good young players, they got some talent. They haven't been healthy, which is why they're 4 games below 500. But I think for them, even a team like the Chicago Bulls, there's a little bit of, okay, well, as bad as they've played or the injuries that they had or trades that the front office had to make, whatever the case is, they're still in a position to potentially make the playoffs and make a little bit of noise. But in the beginning of the year, Orlando was balling. They were a team that everybody was looking at saying, hey, I think this team could be good. With all that being said, they're still 5 games below 500 coming into the game. They're still not a very good 3-point shooting team. They had lost 7 games in a row at home. I heard that during the broadcast yesterday. Yesterday I was watching NBA TV. Sometimes I like to listen to different broadcasts to get a different perspective. And the Lakers were also a team that, had lost a couple in a row. If you're going to be a team that really wants to compete in the Western Conference, what are your excuses to lose at Orlando? Luka's there. Austin Reaves is there. LeBron's second game back. Rui's back. Dorian Finney-Smith is there. Jared Vanderbilt's there. Gabe Vincent's there. You got everybody. Jackson Hayes is there. So there really wasn't too many excuses for the Lakers. And I thought yesterday was such an important game. I did this yesterday. We were sitting here and we're talking about the show, or we're talking about this road trip coming up on the show. And I said it's such a critical 4-game road trip. And I felt like the Lakers, that's how they were going to treat it too. They were going to take it and act like it was a very, very serious road trip. Game starts. All right, Lakers kind of put themselves in a position. They're up at the end of the first quarter. It's like, okay, 30-26, take your chances there. They went up 9. And I remember I'm sitting here watching the game, and when they went up 9, I forgot even how they got to 9. It might have been a Dorian Finney-Smith 3. Whatever it was, they went up by 9. And this is with a couple minutes left in the first half. And I'm like, oh, they're in a good spot. This is kind of what best case scenario, this is what I was hoping for in this game, that they would come out, take the game seriously, and try to just take control of the game, where Orlando is the team that's got to fight back the entire way. And then before the half ends, this is where I thought the game churned. 7-0 run for Orlando to end the first half, to end the second quarter. And I remember going into halftime, I'm like, it feels like they should be up more. You're giving Orlando some confidence. And the longer Orlando is going to hang around, the better shot Orlando is going to have to win this game. So right out the gate, there was just some disappointment of the style of play from the Lakers, taking their foot off the gas, thinking that they're better than they really are. And then that's it. Third quarter, the game was over. Orlando took I think a 14-point lead or a 12-point lead, whatever it was, by the time the third quarter was done. They dropped 34. Lakers only get 18. And then Lakers tried to make a run in the fourth quarter. It wasn't going to happen. Lakers can't get stops. If you can't get any defensive stops, then you're going to struggle. Dust settles. Paulo Banchero looks phenomenal against the Lakers. Franz Wagner demolished the Lakers. Not only did he drop 31, 32 points, whatever he had 9 assists as well. Both of those guys were incredibly efficient. And they're the Lakers losing their 3rd straight game and another ugly loss. I mean, none of these games are even coming down to the wire. I'm going to look at something here because I want to see. I'm going to look at the Lakers schedule here. It's not identical, but I'll tell you what this reminds me a little bit of. Do you guys remember Lakers early in the season? They went through a stretch where they just started getting their asses kicked. By the way, Orlando was one of those losses. That was the one Franz Wagner hit a three. Lakers lost 119, 118. That was a crypto. But Lakers went through a stretch where all of a sudden they couldn't get any stops. And they're getting blown out in every game. They lost to Denver 127-102. This is early. This is in like November, but there's a reason why I'm mentioning this. They lost by 25 against Denver, 27 against Phoenix, 8 against the Oklahoma City Thunder, no big deal. 29 against Minnesota, 41 against Miami, and then they capped it off with one more loss against Atlanta. They lost in OT by just 2 points, but they gave up 134 points. Lakers had a stretch where they were getting it handed to them. I'm not telling you this is the exact same stretch because I think there are some circumstances and some things that have happened. But losing 7 of 10 when the Lakers were off to such a it felt like they were cruising a little bit. It felt like they were a team to reckon with. They were beating a lot of teams over 500. I mean, they had gone through a streak. I want to say it was 11, 12 games in a row of beating teams over 500. They were just they put themselves in a phenomenal position in the Western Conference. So here's what I want to spend a little bit of time on as we kind of get away from yesterday's game and kind of zoom out a little bit and look at the Lakers and look at what's happened over this stretch of 10 games right now or so far for the Lakers. For me, I got 3 things that really, really stand out to me. A couple that are very specific, and then a couple others that, you can kind of place blame as you wish. But the biggest thing that stands out to me of why the Lakers have lost 7 of 10, take away, I don't care right now about the injuries. Forget about the injuries here for a quick second, because you didn't need LeBron to beat Brooklyn. You had LeBron and Rui. You still lost to Chicago. You rested everyone against the Milwaukee Bucks because you wanted to give them a chance against Chicago. Okay, we know what happened there. What's the excuse against Orlando yesterday? So I don't want to harp too much on the excuses that the Lakers would have if you're losing games. But the one thing you can't have happen, and for me, it's the biggest thing that has stood out, they're not playing defense anymore. A squad and a team that I saw this Bleacher Report had a good article on this. I think it was this morning. They had a really good article on this. This 3-7 stretch that the Lakers are on, and this will tell you a little bit of something. The Lakers had the best defensive efficiency in the NBA for a month from January 30th through March 6th. So the Lakers, for that stretch where they were winning all these games, they were churning a lot of heads. Luka wasn't in the lineup. There were times Anthony Davis wasn't in that game against the New York Knicks. They trade Max Christie. They trade Anthony Davis. And all of a sudden, the Lakers, you're just assuming their defense is going to kind of collapse, to be honest with you. It's like, all right, well, how are they going to beat teams? Are they just going to try to outscore them? Mark Williams' trade doesn't go down. There's question marks about Jackson Hayes. There's a lot that's going on with this Lakers team. From January 30th, trade happened February 1st, to March 6th, Lakers had the best defensive efficiency in the NBA, which is why every single person that covers the NBA, talks about the NBA, or is just sitting here and is a fan of the league. That's why every single one of these people said to themselves, I think Lakers got a shot at doing some damage, because they were getting stops and they were playing defense. Okay? Since March 8th, when the Lakers' 8-game winning streak was snapped by the Boston Celtics. So that's the first game of this 10-game stretch, was against Boston, where the Lakers really started struggling. They have the 8th worst defensive rating and ranked 24th in offensive rating. There's your answer of what's going on with the Lakers. I mean, if you want some numbers, I'll give you some numbers. Boston, they gave up 111. Brooklyn, they gave up 111. Milwaukee, they gave up 126. Denver, they gave up 131. Milwaukee, they gave up 118. Chicago, they gave up 146. Orlando, they gave up 118. How the hell are you going to be a real team in the Western Conference, giving up that many points in the West? You're not. If you're, I heard them saying something in the post-game show. I think it was Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith. One of the two were saying something to the effect, we let our offense affect our defense. Basically, the Lakers weren't hitting shots. So all of a sudden, they, their defensive focus went away because they were losing some of that optimism because they weren't scoring on offense. Guys, I don't have to tell you guys this because I think a lot of people on here that hang out on this channel, they know ball. You're not going anywhere if you can't get stops. Nowhere. You know why a lot of people think the Oklahoma City Thunder got a great chance of coming out of the West and potentially winning an NBA championship? We'll see what happens. They got a lot to prove. They'll get the, playoffs will start and we'll see what happens there. They lock you down defensively. Lock you down. And they got Shea, and they got other players that can get them buckets on the offensive end. And Jalen Williams is a nice player, and Chad Holmgren and all these other guys. But they suffocate you on defense. And there was a brief moment there that the Lakers with Vando and with Dorian Finney-Smith and with some of these other guys that are on this team, it's like, damn, these guys are locking down. They're playing defense. They look like they're connected. There was a certain type of effort that I think came with this Lakers team. That's gone in these last 10 games. I mean, completely gone in these last 10 games. They've had moments. I thought they played really well against Phoenix. I thought they handled San Antonio, Denver, whatever you want to make of that. There was no Luke, or there was no Nikola Jokic. There was no Jamal Murray. There was no LeBron. So however you obviously want to look at that. But for me, the number one thing that has stood out so far is they can't get stops. Wagner yesterday had a moment in the game. Lakers down 7. They got it. It was 17 all the way down to 7. The way he took the ball on Luka, like Luka didn't even exist on the defensive side. It's like, yeah, that's going to be a problem. And then he did it on LeBron. Now, LeBron, he had to work more for it. He sealed him off. Then he hit a 3 in Rui's face. It's like, yeah, this game's a wrap. They just can't get stops anymore. All right, let me give you another thing that stood out to me over these last 10 games. Is it just me? I'm going to try to simplify this here. Do they not look that hungry anymore? Am I reading too much into something? But is it just me, or is there a little bit of that hunger that the Lakers had, that excitement that this team had, that diving everywhere, boxing out, the effort that they were given on the defensive side? That's another thing that kind of stands out to me. It's almost like they already accomplished something, and that's the way they're walking around. It's like, yeah, but look what we did in all of February. It's like, yeah, but that's not going to do anything for you in March. And it's clearly not helping the Lakers at all in March. Teams just look like they're playing harder, a little bit more desperate. JJ said something that was concerning. He said they look tired. I'm not sure why, but they look tired. How that gets corrected, we'll have to wait and see. And then the last thing I'll just point out, of course, they're still trying to incorporate everybody back. They look a little lost. It's like the team that they had when LeBron was there, everyone was clicking. They lose to Boston. LeBron goes out. Rui was already out. Since that moment, they look completely lost. And now they're trying to incorporate guys coming back into the lineup. So there's a lot going on with the Lakers. For me, defensively, number one, they don't look as hungry. I think that's an effort thing, and that's number two. And then number three, trying to incorporate different players. So let's take a look at everybody's thoughts, comments, what you guys think. But those are the things that I think stood out to me over this course of these last 10 games. That's why I kind of wanted to take that 10-game sample size. When I was watching Spectrum yesterday, kind of hit me across the face. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games. Well, what happened in these last 10 games? And that's the best way that I can describe it. Let's take a look at some of the comments here, and I appreciate you guys hanging out. All right, there's a couple really, really good comments here that I'm going to get to in just a second, but let me just see some of the latest one. They seem content with just having a top 4 seed and thinking they can flip the switch once the playoffs start. I wish you were right here. Here's the problem. The content part, maybe they're playing a little bit more just like kind of cruising. But the flip the switch part, I don't think so. I don't think JJ has well, let me just churn it off for a little bit and then I'll turn it back on later. I feel like JJ's always turned on. Maybe you could say that about Luka. Maybe you could say that about some of these other guys. But, man, that's a dangerous game to play. And, by the way, being a top 4 seed, do you know they're 2 games out? And I'll talk about this in a second. I don't want to do it just yet. Do you know they're only 2 games out from being the number 6 spot, 3 games out from being the number 7 spot? It's not like they're in a spot. It's like whether they win or lose, they're not going to move. They're not in one of those positions. They can very, very easily not have home court for the entire playoffs. That can easily happen. Obviously, that would mean they're not in the top 4. Right now, they're battling with Memphis. They got a game coming up against Memphis. They still got top 5 toughest schedule in the NBA or somewhere around there. I know coming into yesterday's game, that was the case. Let's see here. You're right, not intense at all. You're in trouble when a guy with a classical composer's name, Franz Wagner, has a good game against you. He's a baller. He's a good player. They got a couple good young players in Orlando. KCP was hurting the Lakers yesterday too. Let's get another one here. Up to JJ to figure it out. I hate it. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch my post game yesterday, but I'm playing JJ Redick, and the first thing I reacted to after the game, I'm like, yeah, that didn't give me much confidence. I don't feel like JJ even knew what was wrong with the Lakers. I don't feel like JJ had an answer for the Lakers as well. Sometimes you got to coach, especially JJ Redick. I feel like there's a lot of times this guy grabs a microphone and I can feel his reaction. It's coming through the microphone. It's coming through the camera. I'm like, yeah, this guy's ticked off. Yesterday, he kind of looked a little defeated, which is not very JJ Redick style. So that one was a little weird to watch. I'm not going to lie. That one was a little weird to watch. It's hard to get Vandal more minutes when he commits 4 fouls in less than a minute. Yeah, and some of them were just dumb fouls, right? Just not smart. So, I don't know what you want me to tell you. That guy's obviously got to make sure he's still on the floor. OKC beat a healthy Clippers team the other night without Chet or Jay Will, and Shea had an off shooting night. They beat a lot of teams. I think they went to Boston without Jalen Williams as well and got a W. And maybe the Celtics didn't have Porzingis. I can't remember who the Celtics didn't have. But I know, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, they didn't have Jalen Williams or Alex Caruso. That's what it was. All right, let's get a couple more of these comments in. Appreciate you guys throwing these in here real quick. DK needs minutes to space the floor. Yeah, I'm not a fan that all of a sudden this guy just gets nothing anymore. We were talking about it yesterday, and somebody was saying, or maybe it was on the show, maybe it was on the morning show yesterday, somebody was asking the question of how many players do you think the Lakers are going to use? How many deep will they go in the playoffs? Let me count this out for you guys. I'll tell you who I know is going to get rotational minutes, and I don't think anybody's going to argue with this. LeBron, Luka, Austin Reaves, Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura are all going to get minutes. They're all going to be part of the rotation. Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent are all going to be a part of the rotation. A lot of teams only use 8-9 guys in a playoff rotation. There's your 8. And I'm telling you, all 8 of those guys are going to get playoff minutes. Okay? Is Jordan Goodwin going to get time? If he's, official. Is Dalton Connect going to get time? Don't you need another big man somewhere? Is it Trey Jameson the third? That's 11 guys right there. So Dalton Connect's going to have trouble getting in there, but I hate that he started getting some playing time, started getting into a rhythm, and then that was it. He was cut off. Let's get another one here. Nick T. Luka jacking up too many shots. He's putting his teammates out of rhythm. Why the hell he keeps chatting with opposing players? Nick, thank you for the super, brother. Cheap tickets, thank you for the super. Let me say this real quick about Luka. I thought yesterday was odd. Did you guys notice in that first quarter? It almost felt like it was planned. Luka, go ahead, take as many shots as you want in the first quarter, and then we'll figure it out after that. I'm okay with Luka being aggressive. Problem is, I don't think Luka was taking good shots. And Luka struggled from the field yesterday. And, yeah, I mean, listen, talking to the opposition, whatever. Stylistically, it's kind of is what it is. Whatever he does, he does. But I don't really know what the game plan was for Luka and the Lakers yesterday, at least to start off that game. Nick, thank you for the super, brother. Offense playing too much ISO. Jovan had mentioned that. Yeah, I think there's that. Seiko, thank you for the super there. I think there's definitely a lot of maybe one-on-one ball, which, by the way, ain't going to work. That's not. And let me tell you when Luka's going to be at his best. Luka's not at his best dropping 35 and very limited dimes. Luka's at his best when he's giving you 28 and 14. That's when he's at his best. LeBron's at his best not when he's dropping 35. When he's giving you 28 and 12. That's when these guys are at their best, because now all of a sudden, well, how do you get 12 assists? How do you get 10 assists? How do you get 9 assists? Dorian Finney-Smith was involved. Vando was involved. Gabe hit some jumpers. Rui got to the basket. Hayes got some lobs. Reaves was cooking. That's how it's got to be. Thank you, Seiko. I appreciate it. Let me get through a couple more of these here. DCRUU. Slee, if they're going to play like this first round exit, well, that's going to be one of my topics. So you stick around here and we'll talk about that. And I'll come back to that. Let's get one more here from DCRU. Slee, team study Reaves on defense. He's horrible. Well, they're going at him. That's what they're doing. And by the way, they're going at Luka too. And if I'm another team out there, I'm doing the exact same thing. Hey, if I can expose Luka and I could expose AR, by the way, at the absolute worst, let me just make them work on the defensive side so they're not, maybe they're a little winded because now they go on the offensive end and they're having to give so much effort on the defensive side. DCRU, thank you for the supers there. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to start reading more of your guys' comments here in just a second. I do want to tell everybody about our partner here, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to this partnership. I cannot tell you how important having this it's like an ecosystem on this channel. You got to obviously have listeners that are loyal, that want the channel to succeed. You got to have, of course, as best as you can, the best content that you can put together. You got to have subscribers. You got to have members. And you also got to have partners. Everything kind of feeds itself. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. If you are someone close to you who's been seriously injured or is dealing with the loss of a loved one, you should find out what legal options you have. You deserve the absolute best in the business, and you deserve the right legal team backing you. When it comes to holding insurance companies accountable and maximizing case results, my guy Brad Wallace and his legal team at the Wallace Firm, they're the real deal. They consistently win big injury and wrongful death cases, and you won't pay them until they win for you. It's that simple. I'm going to give you guys a quick website here, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. This is not somebody that's also supporting the business, but a personal friend of mine as well. Get a free consultation. You don't pay a dime. If you want a personal introduction to Brad Wallace because someone or a family member has been dealing with someone that's been seriously injured or dealing with the loss of a loved one, let us try to help you. And I certainly am happy to make an introduction to Brad Wallace. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right, let's keep things going here. I mentioned that I wanted to point out a couple things in regards to the positioning that the Lakers are in. So I'm going to see if I could find that last comment here. See, if they're going to play like this, it's a first-round exit. Okay. Let me point something out to everybody here real quick. It is so crazy to me how many different scenarios are still in play for the Lakers. Denver last night lost to Chicago. How about the Bulls? Bulls doing damage. But Bulls didn't have Jokic and Aaron Gordon. So with how Chicago's playing right now, they're putting up numbers. Josh Giddey put up crazy numbers last night as well. But with how great, or with other teams kind of also struggling right now, it's putting the Lakers in an interesting spot. I mean, the only two teams that aren't struggling right now is OKC and Houston. Phoenix now has won 4 games in a row, don't get me wrong, Golden State's still playing well, Clippers are still playing well, but a lot of teams are a little bit up and down right now. Look how wild it is right now for the Lakers as far as standings go. Number 4 spot, 43-28. They're 2 games back of the Houston Rockets in the loss column for the number 2 spot. They still got 2 more games against Houston. They're 2 games ahead of the Golden State Warriors for the number 6 spot, and they're 3 games ahead of the Clippers for the number 7 spot. It's so wild trying to predict where the Lakers are going to be. They can still, at this stage, March 25th, they could still be the 2 seed, the 3 seed, the 4 seed, the 5 seed, the 6 seed, and the 7 seed. And I say that comfortably. If they continue to slide here over the course of these last 11 games, maybe in the play-in tournament again. And I don't think there's any, doubt or question about they could be in the play-in tournament again. They can be right back at the same spot that they've been in over the last couple of years. If they close out these last 11 games strong, they could still be a number 2 seed. That's how all over the place the Western Conference is. Denver's not playing well. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Lakers aren't playing well. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Memphis is 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 3 games in a row. So you got all these squads all over the place. Golden State, Clippers, and Minnesota have kind of worked their way up. All of them lost their last game. So obviously there's still a lot to be determined from that perspective. I still think Lakers are going to be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. But every game that goes, I said that before, and then all of a sudden they don't play anybody against Milwaukee. And then all of a sudden they get handed and give up 146 to Chicago. And then yesterday, this game's not a game in the fourth quarter against Orlando. Every game that goes by, my confidence gets a little bit less. And again, I just say how wild it is. They can be anywhere from a 2 seed to a 7 seed, and none of those would shock me. I guess, I'm probably wrong on that. 3 to 6 wouldn't shock me. If they somehow got up to a 2, that would be surprising. If they fell all the way back to a 7, that would certainly be shocking as well. That would be surprising as well. So that's the position that the Lakers are in right now. That's what they're fighting against right now, and that's what we're all obviously trying to figure out here as we keep going. Now, one of the topics I had on here was what happens if the Lakers are knocked out in the first round? Because I had some comments earlier, and I know I got one of these comments highlighted right now. Slee, if they're going to play like this, it's a first-round exit. Okay? There were some other comments a little bit earlier. Oh, here's one. I highlighted it, but I didn't point it out. I've been saying next year will be better. Teams have roster issues, depth at the 5. Think about how quick our conversation about the Lakers is changing. At one point, the conversation was, I think they can make a run in the Western Conference. There's some shows that I listen to. I like First Things First. I like Nick Wright, Chris Broussard. I like, and especially I like their NBA opinion. So I was listening to them. This was, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And Chris Broussard was kind of one of the first ones to go out and say, you know what, I think Lakers are going to make it to the Western. I think they're going to represent the West. And then I think Nick Wright had said something. I don't know if he said they're going to win a championship, but anyways, they were very, very high on the Lakers, as everybody was. That's why last week when Amin came on, Amin El-Hassan, when he came on, and he was critical of the Lakers, he's like, I don't know how much this thing's going to last. That's why I think so many Laker fans were like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you watching? What are you this? What are you that? All right, well, as we sit here today, Amin definitely had some great points that he was pointing out when nobody else was. Now that we sit here, the conversation, I know for me when they traded for Luka, I thought Dallas had a better shot of winning a championship than the Lakers did. Okay, they get all their injuries. We know what eventually happens with the Dallas Mavericks, and then the Lakers just continue to roll. And it's like, damn, I didn't see any of that coming. Are we starting to see, is there a reality coming to the Lakers that we were all blinded by? I'm going to play something out for everybody here real quick. What happens if the Lakers are knocked out in the first round? I think that's a really big deal. I think it is. Because if you're out in the first round in the Western Conference, LeBron's 40, you're starting to look at the future. And I know, I've kind of said this before. I thought this year was going to be house money anyways. But if you're out in the first round, now all of a sudden it's like, this isn't just you got Luka. Yes, absolutely. But now you have to make some major changes to the engine here. You're going to have to really kind of look under the hood, and it's going to be important that the Lakers don't overreact and they're building for the future. And you got to understand Luka's just 26, and this is the new person that you handed the keys to from the franchise, and you start moving from there. But it feels like to me losing in the first round would be such a disappointment. A lot of changes I think would happen in the summer. I think you got to at least win a first round series. I really do. And it's going to depend on where you are. And it's going to depend on health. And there's still a lot before we actually get there. But my mind frame is almost kind of spinning we went from whatever the conversation was about the Lakers to now even having that type of conversation or that type of reality that can happen. They can easily get matched up against Denver in the first round and lose in a 7-game set. They can easily get matched up against Houston, which I'm curious about Houston. Houston's kind of one that I have some curiosity on, or maybe Golden State or whatever the case is. But that narrative is changing here, and it changed pretty quick. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. I've been yapping long enough here. What's everybody got to say? All right, here's William. The facts are that Luka and AR are just as defensively crippled as AR and D'Lo were, and we can't play them together. Not to mention Bron only plays D when he feels like it. Okay. All right, here's something here. First round exit, Reaves is traded next year or in the offseason, I think you said. You think there'd be those type of extreme measures? I would rule nothing out. I would tell you guys out. If they're not able to get out of, and the reason why this is a conversation now is because they've lost 7 of their last 10 games. Listen, can they get back on track? They definitely can. And I expect them to. I mean, if they don't get back on track, then this whole thing's a fugazi. And I sold myself on something that just wasn't real. But can they get back on track? Sure. But if they don't and they're out in the first round, I think everything is going to be on the table. Why wouldn't it be, by the way? Why wouldn't it be? The Reaves piece of it, and I've tried emphasizing this a number of times, that's one of the best value contracts that you have in the league. And I think the Lakers really actually want to keep Reaves for the future. I really do believe that. But you're going to take every call on everybody. They're going to be in maybe a rush is not not the proper way to put it, but there's going to be some pressure to, hey, we got to start building a team around Luka now and make sure that we're competing and using the absolute best we can get out of Luka. If they lose in the first round, we make major moves this summer. Okay? All right, here's one. We're just waiting for the playoffs. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just know they are good enough that they can get in the playoffs and then just churn it on in a 7-game set and make all the adjustments. I will tell you this, if you want to look at it from a optimistic perspective. I don't know if you guys have seen Luka's numbers in the playoffs. They're better in the playoffs than they are in the regular season. That's what kind of separates the greats is they're that much better come postseason. Dalton checked in at the beginning of the second quarter, checked out with 8 minutes left, has 3 and 4 defensive mistakes that led to scores. Let me tell you this, too. He played 5 minutes. I'm not telling you he didn't have some defensive mistakes because I know what you're talking about. There's a lot of times I'm like, what the hell kind of defense was that? And I look and I'm like, oh, that was Dalton. However, how's a guy going to get in any rhythm? How are you going to ask Dalton Connect to do anything for you if he plays 5 total minutes in a game? You're just not going to. And then there's the pressure of, well, if I make one defensive mistake or I miss a couple of shots, I'm pulled out of the game and I'm probably not coming back in. So I think there's a lot that goes with that as well. Slee, this was supposed to be a throwaway season after we got Luka, remember? I do remember that. I remember it very well. But I also remember them playing a 5-game stretch where they were as good as any team in the NBA and beating really good teams in the process. Clippers a couple times. Knicks, they obviously beat. Denver, they won on the road. They kind of started changing a lot of that narrative. It's funny. I got a few people now saying first round exit means AR out of here. First round exit means nothing this year. I don't know, Anthony. I think if you're losing in the first round, you got LeBron, you got Luka, you got Austin Reaves. Not a fan of if that happened. I don't think this is, oh, well, you know what? It's all good. No problem. We don't really need to make that many roster changes. I think there'll be some significant changes that they'll have to make. All right, let's take a look at some of these other comments that were a little bit further down. Lakers lose a few games. They are dysfunctional and JJ's crucified. The Lakers win a few games. They're going to win a championship. You know what I think the problem is? I think I was kind of pointing out, it's not just all right. All right. See if you guys got me here. All right, I got to churn some Bluetooth off here. Okay, you guys hear me okay? You guys got me over here? Everybody got me? Yeah, I think I got a little Bluetooth action kind of interrupted us here. You guys tell me if you guys got me well, and then we'll keep going here. So what I was saying here is okay, everybody's got me here. So Lakers lose a few games. They are dysfunctional. JJ's crucified. Lakers win a few games. They're going to win the championship. No, let me tell you. They're playing bad basketball. That's the problem. It's not just losing games. Losing games happens all the time. It's how they're losing games, right? It is the issue that the Lakers are having more than anything else is it's how you lose games. If Lakers lost yesterday to Orlando and it came down to the wire and they're playing well, all right. If Chicago, they gave up 146 points, how you lose has something to do with it. And by the way, how you win also has something to do with it. They were crushing teams. They went through a stretch where I think they went 7 games in a row, 6 or 7 games in a row where they're giving up under 102 points, 102 or below. That says something. It's not about crown them because they won 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row, 5 games in a row. Who did you beat? What did it look like? What does the team look like? I think that has more to do with it than anything else. For me, I don't really care. You know, you don't want to, if they win 5 games in a row, you don't want to say, oh, that's it. They're the best team in the NBA. What does it look like when it happens? That to me is the thing that's most important. Okay, let's keep going here. All right, Seiko's got a good point right here. Due to raised expectations, first round is a failure. If you exit in the first round, I'm with you on that. Doesn't that sound, for me, that now sounds like a really, really big issue, and it would be wildly disappointing if that's the case. I still think they're going to win in the first round. I still think that they'll close out the season. I mean, I have some hesitation in saying this. I still think they'll finish out the season better than they have been playing, but they still got a tough schedule in front of them. Indiana tomorrow, followed up by Chicago, is playing well. Memphis on the road on Saturday. You got 7 of your final 11 games that are going to be on the road. So it's not like the schedule's not going to help them all that much. Let's get another one in. DCRU, thank you. You're very kind with your supers. I appreciate you. So I believe Lakers should listen for Austin Reaves trades this offseason, especially if they get bounced in the first round, second round. Well, second round, if you lost to Denver in the second round or OKC, I don't think that means that it was a failed season or anything like that. Do a lot of people feel this way on the Austin Reaves portion of it? Austin Reaves, this man has become a very polarizing figure on the show. I feel like there's a lot of Laker fans that maybe don't appreciate Austin Reaves as much as maybe I appreciate it. Let's use that as a topic. You guys feel the same way about Austin Reaves? Somebody help me out here. I want to know if there are a lot of Laker fans that think AR is a great piece for the future or is a great piece to go get another piece for the future. I'm going to read some of these comments here. Everyone is in panic mode. Well, don't lose 7 of 10 and nobody will be in panic mode. Yes, that is correct. All right, let me just see a couple things on the AR piece. All right, he's a baller. Love me some AR. No, why would we trade Reaves? Okay, this is all I'm looking for here. Reaves is solid, not perfect, but solid. Big fan of Austin. All right, finally some people are talking here. Listen, I said this, and I do agree, or I do genuinely believe this. I do think anyone and everyone on your roster is on the table. If the Lakers are willing to trade Anthony Davis and if Luka Doncic is on the table in the NBA, then anyone can get traded. And that's okay to have that conversation. The only thing I will say that will potentially hurt the Lakers with Austin Reaves, next year will be the final year of his contract because the year after that, he's got a player option. And it is absolutely impossible for Austin Reaves to play out that player option because he's going to be making $15 million a year. That ain't going to happen. Too good of a player. By the way, popular player, marketable player, productive player, and not making a lot of money in NBA terms. So that's the only piece of it that could be a problem is how much are the Lakers willing to offer Austin Reaves? What are other teams going to offer him? That could be the only area that I look at. Slee, I like AR, but he's never going to be a superstar. His ceiling is what you see, but that's okay. Nobody's saying he's going to be a superstar, nor should anyone have the expectations that he's going to be. The only reason why Austin Reaves is a conversation, I'll tell you why it is. The only reason why Austin Reaves is a conversation is because he's wildly outplayed what anyone thought he would ever do. And he's put himself in a conversation of, hey, can he potentially be an all-star? But that was never his expectation when he first came into the league. So that's actually a compliment to him that you're having any type of conversation like that. A couple more on AR. Untouchable, found gold. The AR hate is dumb. The dude plays hard, smart every game, and his salary is a steal. I like Reaves, but I'd rather have him in the second unit. Okay, here's another one. Not with Luka. So I think what Jason's trying to say there, he likes AR, but not with Luka. AR's issue is his inconsistency. Is a solid piece, but needs more consistency. Yes, AR should be a bench player now that we have Luka. You can't have them both together because they're defensive liabilities. I think the other problem that kind of comes with that is when you have LeBron, Luka, and AR together, there's a little bit of, redundancy. There's a little bit of you got too many guys that do the same thing. AR gets lost when it's those three. AR is not lost when he's on the floor with one other player like Luka or one other player like LeBron. yesterday watching that game, AR, Luka, and LeBron, he gets lost. He gets lost because you got two other superstars on the team. Get a couple more of these here. I appreciate Austin. I want to keep him with Luka and build off of them. All right, let's get some more in here. All right, so interesting stuff. People got their point. I didn't know that was going to be a conversation today. I didn't. And I still, later in the week, this was, I did a members-only video on Friday, and I was asking for some ideas on topics and things along those lines. And one of the topics was looking at the upcoming offseason for the Lakers. What would there be? What would their options be? I'll spend a little time on that because somebody here is saying trade Rui, trade Gabe Vincent, all that stuff. We'll get into what those contracts look like, and I'm going to actually do that later in the week. That's a good idea. Here's one. Robert C. Slate, all Laker fans saying this adversity is good for us and these losses are good for us are truly gambling with our playoff and play-in lives down the stretch. Kobe would never be satisfied losing. Yeah, Robert, I got to be honest with you. I don't think anybody is I don't think there's anybody on the Lakers that are sitting back and saying, hey, this is a good thing that this is happening. But it is their scenario that they're in right now, and what they do with it, we'll have to wait and find out for. Okay, I haven't even gotten. I got a couple other topics that I want to get into. Let me kind of rush through a couple of these here real quick, and then I'll look at more of your comments. Anthony Davis made his return yesterday for the Dallas Mavericks. Anybody else have curiosity about this? I've spent a couple videos talking about how I respect the fact that Anthony Davis is coming back when a lot of people thought, oh, he's just going to shut the season down now that Kyrie's out. This is something I can't comprehend. If Anthony Davis is healthy on Monday, March 24th, yesterday, to play 11, 12 games remaining for the Dallas Mavericks, why wouldn't he do it? Why wouldn't he do it? If he's healthy. He was on a minutes restriction yesterday, played 27 minutes, 6 of 9 from the field, had 12 points, 6 rebounds, a steal, and a block shot. So nothing, crazy for his game. Here's Anthony Davis's quote. Physically, I felt great. It's the mental aspect when you're coming back from something like that to mentally be ready to go out and play. He also said something to the effect that no doubt about his return. Obviously we know Kyrie Irving, Daniel Gafford, Dante Exum, Caleb Martin. There's a lot of guys out, but a lot of guys potentially coming back here as well. Derek Lively could come back potentially in the next couple of weeks. He said, as one of the leaders of the team, I just wanted to go out there and give them a breather at least. Obviously, AD talking about it, and went into some other details about Kyrie getting his injury and everything else. I'm just going to continue to say this. I'm a fan, and I think Anthony Davis did the right thing about coming back if he's healthy and trying to help the Dallas Mavericks get to the playoffs. Think about all the storylines. Give me one positive story that's come out of Dallas since the Luka trade. There hasn't been one. The trade comes down. Everybody's saying you're complete fools for trading Luka. I agree with that. Anthony Davis gets injured in the second half of his first game playing for the Dallas Mavericks. He's out for 6 weeks. Kyrie Irving torn ACL. Other players get injured. The ownership and the GM of the Dallas Mavericks look like complete fools with all the different comments that they've had since the Luka trade. AD is the first positive story I've seen around the Dallas Mavericks here in almost 2 months. And the only news was AD is not shutting down for the season. He's going to try to get that number 10 seed. I'm rooting for AD. I really am. And I'm rooting for Dallas to get into that play-in tournament. Here are my options that I could root for. I could either root for Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and the Suns, who every time I watch them play, it doesn't look like they give a flying F. Now, they've won 4 games in a row. They beat Milwaukee yesterday, so we'll see what happens there. Or I could root for Anthony Davis, who I actually have respect for and looks like he's going to try to make a playoff run. Are they going to get anywhere? Probably not. If they even found a way to get in the playoffs, they're not beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I respect that he came back, and he obviously spent some minutes there yesterday making his return back for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to go through a couple other topics that I have here. These are going to be smaller topics that I want to get into. and then I'll look at some of these comments here as we keep going. So thank you for hanging out. Please subscribe to the channel. I wasn't watching the game yesterday, USC's game. You know, I'm not a big college basketball fan. I do think it's smart that the women's tournament, I like how they're putting the games on different days than the men's tournament. I think that's kind of smart. ESPN was carrying some games. ESPN was carrying USC versus Mississippi State yesterday. The game was at the Galen Center at USC. USC star Juju Watkins will miss the remainder of the women's NCAA tournament after suffering a torn ACL in her right knee during the Trojans' second-round game against Mississippi State, sources told ESPN's Shams Charania on Monday night. Man, that is really, really sad. You know, it's interesting. She's not even just the face of women's college basketball right now. She's one of the faces of all of college basketball right now. If you told me to name 10 players right now that are playing in college basketball, I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know enough about college basketball. I'll know a lot more as you get closer to the draft. Okay, maybe I know some individuals on San Diego State University because I went to school there. But for the most part, okay, Cooper Flagg and, okay, a couple other guys. Juju Watkins is as popular as really any of these college players. So really, really sad news that she's going to miss not just the remainder of the tournament. Obviously, she's going to miss a lot of time because she tore her ACL. So really, really sad news there for Juju Watkins. I saw that injury yesterday, not live, just kind of saw it. It was all kind of happening on Twitter. Another injury that I want to point out from an NBA perspective, Jason Tatum went out yesterday. Let me say this, and I think this might take me back to the point that I was trying to make for the Dallas Mavericks. Tatum's going to be okay. Joe Mazzulla said he seems to be doing okay. I didn't see the play, but they made the right call. Fortunate that he was able to shoot the free throws. He's taking care of it right now. Domantas Sabonis basically got under him, and it was called a flagrant one. You got to give the shooter a chance to come down. By the way, those are the worst injuries, the most cringe injuries. Not the worst, but they're some of the worst. I remember years ago, I'm playing in a game, and it was whatever pickup game. Actually, it wasn't even a pickup game. It was a league that I was in. And I take a freaking three, and the most dangerous players are guys that have never played basketball. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And the guy went right under me on the three. And I heard every crack you could possibly hear going down as he goes under me, my right ankle. It never broke it, which was actually not good because it's better to break so it actually heals. It's the worst freaking pain in the world. I was out for 33 years. When I saw it, and every time I see it happen, every time I see a person, churn an ankle, anybody that's played basketball, you've all churned ankles. You just get that feeling back in your ankle like, yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst pain ever. Tatum looks like he's going to be okay. But the point that Tatum told Ramona Shelburne that his ankle is just sore, but that the team is going to be cautious. And obviously Boston's in a position. They're going to take any chances. They just want to make that playoff run. With that in mind, and the reason why I point this out, you never know what can happen. So the point that I was trying to make about Anthony Davis coming back and trying to make a return, and maybe they get the number 10 seed, and maybe they get through and they make it a first-round matchup against OKC. Shit happens. You never know what can happen. I remember Lakers a couple of years back against Phoenix were up 2-1 against the Suns. Looked like they were in a great position. Anthony Davis gets injured. Series a wrap, 4-2, and Phoenix gets to the NBA Finals. You never know what can happen. That's why I'm not a fan of, hey, let's just wave the white flag, which it looked like Dallas was trying to do. So Tatum has that injury, and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, last thing that I do want to mention here real quick, and this one is going to take me to football. And I'll look at some of your comments before we get out of here as well. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua wants to retire at age 30. He told Join the Lobby podcast. I'm going to read a couple things from here. Here's what he said, Puka Nacua. Obviously, Rams wide receiver. I know I want to retire at the age of 30. I'm 23 right now. I'm going into year 3. It wouldn't even be 10 years. It'd be maybe 7 or 8. I think of Aaron Donald to go out at the top. I think it would be super cool. Okay. A couple other things he said. Nacua. His 5 siblings also know that he hopes to have a big family. I want to be able to be part of their lives and be as active as I can with them. The injuries are something you can't control. They're a part of the game, so you never know. Hopefully the rest of my career can go healthy, but you have shoulder surgery, you have knee surgery, you have ankle. By the time my kids could be 18, I could be barely walking if you play the game and sustain all the injuries and stuff like that, but I want to retire early. It's interesting. I wonder if this becomes a little bit more of a trend. I wonder if there's NFL players, because of the grueling sport that it is. If you're a baseball player, it's a grueling sport. But you're not taking on what football players are taking on. If you're an NBA basketball player, grueling sport. You're not taking on what NFL players are taking on. I wonder if there are players that decide, F the longevity. Forget this 10 or 15 years in the NFL, or 10 or 15 years, or like LeBron, 22 years in the NBA. Let me make as much money as I can in an 8 to 10 year window. I'm going to get the hell out of here. And if I could retire by the time I'm 30, 32 years old, start a family, and now live the rest of my life and just be smart with the money that I made in my investments, I'll take my chances doing that. Let me be healthy moving forward. Aaron Donald did it. Obviously, you could think of guys like Andrew Luck comes to mind. I know that one was a little bit different of a scenario. Puka Nacua, talking about wanting to retire. He's 23 right now, already talking about retirement at age 23. So that's an interesting one. Was not expecting that one. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments. I want to call it a day. I wish we did that Murray for AR for Murray trade. We'd be so much better right now. All right. Retiring from football is the move. Avoid that CTE. Okay. Matthew says, Lakers choosing to be healthy and rested for the playoffs, home court first round. They're playing with fire. I don't think they're choosing to do anything. I think they're taking L's right now. I really do. That's too young. Retire at 30. Not retire at 30. Retire from the game of the NFL at 30. It's certainly isn't, I think one of those situations where he's going to just all of a sudden sit at home and do nothing for the rest of his life. It's leaving a very, very violent sport. I think that's the idea. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. See if we got anything else here. All right. Guys, do me a favor with some of these comments. Can we be respectful with the comments? And I want you guys to handle that stuff. I don't want to worry about that. I want you guys to handle all that stuff. All right. I think that's all we got for today. I appreciate one thing I will tell you guys. One thing I will say is a lot of these comments, they are a big part of the show. So I appreciate you guys being so active during the comments. It helps me get certain topics that I didn't even think I was going to have here. Let me give everyone just a quick idea of what we got going on for the next day or two. So tonight, Sammy Long will put out a video previewing the Lakers and the Indiana Pacers. Lakers, Pacers tomorrow. I'll remind you guys tomorrow, I am doing my show tomorrow at 8 a.m., and then I'm doing the post-game show for the Pacers as well, Lakers, Pacers. but the postgame won't start until 8. So just something to keep in mind. No matter what, postgame show will not start tomorrow till 8 p.m. So just keep that in mind. I got a couple other things going on at that time, so I'll be able to start postgame at 8. That's all I got for tonight, or that's all I got for today. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate you guys, and let's do this again tomorrow morning. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll get back with you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody.